Hello everybody, here we are today. We're going to be doing our picks for the week, and luckily this week we had the game start later thanks to it being Labor Day weekend because it's been a busy week for me. So if you're new to the channel, new to the CFL, whatever the case, please subscribe if you are new. And now that being said, let's get into it. So the first game of the week will be the BC Lions traveling to Montreal to play the Alouettes. Both of these teams coming off of really bad losses. You have the Lions that are the roadside here. They've lost 2 in a row, and they lost to a Hamilton side at home that they really probably shouldn't have with Powell there at quarterback. James Butler obviously got some carries, ended up working out well for them. And the Lions defense, which has been so good for most of the year, didn't necessarily look all that incredible in the game. As for Montreal, they're coming off of a game where their offense mustered 3 points and their defense had 14. And for them, they just had a 4-game winning streak snapped, so there's a lot to play for there. It's kind of weird in this situation because you know that both sides are relatively safe in terms of their second seed in their divisions. BC probably pretty comfortable with the second spot out west. I guess Saskatchewan could catch up to them, and then Montreal seems to be securely in that second spot too. So there's not a desperation, I guess you should say, but more of a what team are we? Where the Lions, I feel like a couple weeks ago, were riding high as one of those tier 1 teams, you know, up there with Toronto and Winnipeg. They suddenly seem to be one of those teams where you're like, are they a tier 2 team? Are they really not up there with Winnipeg and, Toronto? I think on their best day, absolutely they are. But this is a big game for them, and it would be a 3-game losing streak if they lost. As for the Owls, I don't think that they've ever cracked into the tier 1 category at all this year. They have had some close wins. They have had some things go their way, but also they've been able to take the opportunities they've been given and, come away with wins. Whether or not that's been, at ease like Toronto or Winnipeg or BC, not really. However, this would be a good game to show come playoff time that they can hang with anybody and have a shot at possibly winning their first Grey Cup in over a decade. So for this game, I'm going to be honest with a lot of talk here. I am picking the Lions. I would say that if they lost this game, that's when you would want to maybe not panic, but say what in the world is going on with this team. This is a 3rd week in a row where I am picking them, and if they end up burning me here, that's fine, I guess. But one of those situations where the Lions should win this one. And if they don't, good win for Montreal at home in front of hopefully a good crowd, and the Lions, kick them while they're down, I guess. The second game will be on Sunday, and that is Winnipeg and, of course, Saskatchewan playing in the Labor Day Classic, as you have this game in Saskatchewan, and it is a big game for both sides. Winnipeg, coming off their dismantling of the Alouettes. Saskatchewan, of course, a team that has been able to do relatively well, despite the fact that they're on their 3rd straight quarterback. For a long while there, the Rough Riders were just owning the Classic. They had won like 10 or 11 years in a row. Recently, it's been Winnipeg that's had a little bit more luck. The Blue Bombers are favored to go into this game. I think both sides have a lot to play for. And in a weird sense, I think Winnipeg has more to play for in this game because they have the ability, if they win, I just think all they have to do is pick up a win, to be the first team to lock up a playoff spot. That would mark their 7th consecutive season doing so. Whereas if the Rough Riders lose, it's not the end-all, be-all. Obviously, you have the Elks that are starting to get hot, I guess. But yeah, so for this game, all around, you want to hope for a close game, but in general, Winnipeg, for the most part, has looked like a well-oiled machine this year. And while I do like how things have been going for Saskatchewan, and they always are a fun team to watch, I'm going to be picking Winnipeg just because they are such a well-run group that will be all right. Now, I don't remember. I think Drew Olatarski wasn't practicing at some point this week. Either way, they've got so many guys on this roster that it can do damage. I'm still going to be going with the roadside here. Now, the third game will, of course, involve some of the oldest rivalries, or one of the oldest rivalries in the CFL, as you have Toronto and Hamilton playing each other at Hamilton. This game is going to be at 3:30. This is going to be, hopefully, a good game. I think that a lot of people are expecting Toronto to win. Chad Kelly fresh off an extension. I wish I could have done a video. Like I said, this week has just been kind of crazy. But yeah, Chad Kelly has signed a 3-year extension with this team, and the Argos look poised to win their 2nd Grey Cup in as many years. And they have looked incredible. And at times, I would say that they've looked unstoppable. As for Hamilton, picking up a very big win over BC, and a very convincing win. As a Lions fan, I talked to this a lot with CFL Central, and we both said it felt like the first time that it was actually hopeless, and like you felt frustrated. For me, the loss as a BC fan to Winnipeg. That was a wake-up call. For the loss to Hamilton, that just felt outright embarrassing because I do think BC is so much better than Hamilton on any given day. But Hamilton was able to go up and swing for the fences, end up winning that game. Why not go for it again here as they are playing a rival that really obviously would like to get a win, get closer to locking up their own playoff spot. But for the Tabbies, you know that it's going to be coming down to can their secondary not get cooked, and then of course will their offense be able to get away with enough points. Now they do have some guys to spend on special teams, especially in the return game, that could make a difference here, and I'm hoping that again this is going to be a good matchup. But at the end of the day, Toronto's looked incredible this year. I'm picking a favorite yet again. The Argos are so good. If Hamilton does get a win, not necessarily a bad thing for some teams like BC and Winnipeg, but more so it's important for Hamilton to pick up a win to really get closer to possibly locking up a spot out east in a playoff situation where they would be third. Then the final game of the week, I think, will have the potential to be more interesting just because of its ramifications. You have Edmonton playing Calgary. This will be at 7 o'clock. I don't know if I already just said that, but yeah, this is a game that for a while now it feels like Calgary has really been able to take advantage of it, and they've been able to beat up on their provincial rivals. But now you have a situation where the Stampeders look like the worst team that we've seen in like 2 decades, and they are grasping to try to keep this playoff streak alive. As for Edmonton, started the year at 0-9. Chris Jones kept saying, oh, no, we're not going to trade Ford any opportunities, which made me mad, outrageously mad, just because I'm a big Ford supporter, not the vehicle company, but obviously Trey, and I wanted to see what he could do. Comes on in, and while things have not necessarily been perfect, they've been able to pick up 2 wins, back-to-back wins, mind you, in the home losing streak. They beat Hamilton and Ottawa, not necessarily convincing wins, but wins nonetheless. And then also, while it still seems like a very, very big long shot, they are kind of in the playoff picture. And Calgary right now is in a situation where they can't afford any losses, and now they're playing a resurgent Edmonton side that on any given day, I think against a struggling side, can absolutely pick up a win. They smell blood in the water, and for this Elks side, I just think that they could get this thing done. On the flip side, I know that the Stampeders have been underperforming, but I just look at this roster, and again, I feel like part of it is I overvalued them at the start of the season. But if Jake Mayer and this team cannot get a W over Edmonton, this is where you can say maybe people aren't getting fired at the end of this game, but maybe at the end of this year, if you catch my drift. So I am going to be picking the Stampeders in this one. Whether or not Calgary makes the playoffs at this point, I don't know, but I will say this game for their coaching staff and their organization in general will probably have big ramifications for whether or not they clean house at the end of the year. So yeah, that is my pick, or those are my picks for the end of the week for Labor Day weekend. You have BC, you have Winnipeg, you have Toronto, and you have Calgary. Going with the favorites, but like I said, I do think, especially in the Calgary-Edmonton game, things could get a little messy. I think in the past few years, it's been turnovers that have really undone the Elks against Calgary for some of these games. We will see, though. What are your picks for this week? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to try to get back to getting out videos, even if it's not just the recaps or the previews, maybe once a week. I don't know. We'll see again with NHL season previews on my other channel, Trough. But anyway, please make sure to subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe and have a great night.